From July 24th to July 27th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, Dad, Kayla, and I made an ascent of Gannett Peak in the Wind River Range of Wyoming. It was a tough 4 days, and I actually got sick during the trip. Some sort of cardiovascular thing, very possibly COVID. The sickness was most prevalent for the ascent and egress days. We were supposed to start the Wind River High route shortly after, but in my condition and with Dad's back hurting, we didn't think we would be able to pull it off, so we decided instead to go for Granite Peak in the Beartooth Range of Montana. This decision would end up putting me in an interesting situation. Without much time or resources to plan this new trip, we would be going into it with very little idea of what we were going to find. Usually I spend a fair bit of time studying a route. Even when a route is not well traveled, I can at least identify potential areas where more care must be taken. But going into Granite, I had a fuzzy idea of what the approach would look like, as well as a fuzzy idea of the obstacles we would have on the ascent. Shortly after noon on July 30th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, we were ready to start Granite Peak.
12:38 p.m., July 30th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. Kayla, Dad, and I are at the upper Lady of the Lake trailhead, and we're gonna be trying to do Granite Peak, highest mountain in the Beartooth Range, over the next 2 to 3 days. Pink Indian paintbrush.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Whose favorite flower?
And remember what causes the color?
The type of plant it's parasiting to.
That's correct.
Well, we are about to head into the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness area in the Gallatin National Forest. Looks like we have now made it to Lady of the Lake. Still going around Lady of the Lake. Some mountains that you can see to the south. Making it to a nice open meadow. Indian paintbrushes at the meadow. Close to the time where we get off the main trail and getting some beautiful Beartooth scenery. Wow, these are some nice looking mountains. We are at the so-called Tri Creek Junction. Okay, we have to cross the drainage from lower Aero Lakes. Not bad. Lots of bright pink Indian paintbrushes in this meadow. Waterfall looks pretty nice. Hey bear! It's a nice shot with the flowers in the river. Quite a few bugs following us around. Almost at Lone Elk Lake. Some of the larger Beartooths, and here is Lone Elk Lake, so it's good. We have made it into the lakes.
Once we got moving, it was immediately apparent that I was not recovered from whatever cardiovascular sickness I picked up from Gannett. Progress felt slow because of this, and we had a late start to the day, so there was reason to be concerned about if we would make it to our proposed camping spot. Sections of the trip dragged on longer than expected, and there were unforeseen route finding issues as well, such as creek crossings. Factoring in the high temperature and lots of mosquitoes later in the day, it would definitely seem on paper that the trip was not going well. But each new turn brought us new types of scenery, which I wasn't prepared for. We eventually found ourselves in an unrecognizable land of lakes, slowly making our way towards the larger mountains in the range.
Taking a break at the inlet of Lone Elk Lake. We're gonna go above that waterfall, cross the stream. Going around Rough Lake. Full picture of Rough Lake in all its kind of strange curvy glory. Well, this is the inlet stream of Rough Lakes. I mean Rough Lake, and Rough Lake's back there, but we have to cross this thing somehow now. Kayla has her mosquito hat on, but there aren't any mosquitoes. Looks like we have the lower Skytop Lake over there.
I don't even see Koi. You can go, Kayla.
Yeah, that's a really nice plateau over there. Wow, these Beartooth are nice. Not yet upper Skytop, but an interesting lake. More mosquitoes here for some reason. And we got some good reflection. And I believe this is our first view of upper Skytop Lake. Waterfall up there. Alright, it's like 8 p.m. and I am getting pretty drowsy now. So that mountain in there is Granite. Part 2 of the upper Skytop Lake. Backside of the upper Skytop Lake. I just have to pick a spot to camp at.
We were happy to finally get to our camp at the backside of the upper Skytop Lake. After setting up our tent and making some food, we were almost ready to go to bed when we had an unanticipated visit from a mountain goat.
Wait, it's here again.
It's kind of hard to go to sleep when you're...
That's right,
here.
we got you.
Wow, look at it.
We know you're here.
We had like
see
a
you.
deer in headlights moment.
We see you.
Can you please go? I need to change my pants at some point.
And we need to sleep.
That also. And it's hard to sleep while you're here.
He's like, this is my boulder rock. My name is Patrick.
Patrick from the
I'm gonna move the light up very quickly. And then he will be spooked. Wiz will be like, I'm in this fall again.
Patrick!
That's right, Patrick.
Patrick!
Patrick.
Patrick!
Patrick.
Patrick!
Patrick, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Patrick, why are you doing this?
What are you doing?
He is looking for food. Kung Pao chicken right
Wait,
here.
didn't you just go pee over there?
Yes, I just rocked a piss. I think he's eating it.
No, because it's salty.
Patrick,
Ooh, Patrick,
come on, Patrick. That's...
You're better
Oh,
than this.
God. You don't have to
Patrick.
eat my piss.
You're better than
Oh,
this,
Patrick.
I don't really like salt.
Oh, my God.
Patrick, damn it.
That's
Damn it,
just...
Patrick.
Oh, Patrick, why?
This is a new low, even for you.
likes it.
Oh, hopefully he doesn't find where Kayla took a dump.
I actually didn't.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
good
Yeah.
for you.
I was actually wondering if that's what alerted him to our presence, because I went over and like I peed and stuff, but must have shifted some rocks, and then he was like, "What's that?" And now came to visit.
The goats surprisingly stuck around into the morning. We didn't wake up too early as we expected a relatively quick ascent, since there was little elevation to be gained. There were two options for our ascent route, the southwest ramp and the southwest couloir. Most people take the southwest ramp, but Summit Post said that the couloir was more enjoyable, so we decided to try it out. The ascent would turn out to be more difficult than anticipated though.
6:19 a.m. July 31st, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, and we're getting back at it. Climbing that mountain. Whoa. The snow field is nice and hard, falling up this water. Yeah. I think that's lower snow probably. Got an interesting water, snow. Cool lights down there. We are technically on this right now. Are very good. Views over this way too.
The couloir had turned out to be very steep, with many loose rocks. Rockfall hazard was serious, and we had to be extremely careful about where we placed our hands and feet. Having been in a lot of these loose areas before this, I felt relatively comfortable. But this was not the case for Dad. Partway up the couloir, Dad had made the decision that he would not go down the same way. This was concerning. The route up the couloir was not as easy to follow as you may think. We strayed too close to the summit ridge once, and near the bottom of the couloir, Kayla suggested we go up a section which I suspected would cliff us out. I had to not only make sure that we could make it up this couloir, but also that I would be able to find the southwest ramp to use for our descent, which I had put virtually zero research into, and there was no guarantee that the ramp would even be easier than the couloir. Taking in the high mountain views was amazing. We were standing in a truly wild corner of the world, with on paper the ability to do whatever we wanted. But at the same time, we were trapped in a high-stress situation, with no easy way out. This was actually quite interesting. Stress is very important. Historically speaking, we wouldn't survive without stress. But in today's society, stress is increasingly less important than it once was. When you feel stressed out in everyday life, there is almost always a way out. You can take a break from your studying. You could not show up to your sports game. You can miss a deadline and talk to your supervisor. There is usually an option to quit. In the mountains, this isn't the case. You can sometimes take a short break, but you can't really stop, because the terrain is dangerous, and you can't survive just anywhere. The stress is quite inescapable. If you find yourself in a bad situation, you have to push through regardless of how you feel, and it's not enough to just try hard. You need to execute as well. On Gannett, I got sick and I had to navigate the ascent, and then carry out 70 pounds the next day, probably a comparable weight to Dad and Kayla combined. On Granite, I needed to find a different route down that everyone would be capable of, and I had little time and resources to do it. I think that over time, people who go to the mountains get accustomed to ignoring their stress and pushing through. Over the summer, I never really felt stressed out. But once the summer was over, I was subconsciously avoiding situations where my performance directly affected the success of group events. True inescapable stress can take a mental toll on you, even if you don't notice it in the moment. I think that experiencing these kinds of situations allows us to appreciate the importance of stress in our everyday lives, and maybe feeling stressed out isn't the worst thing in the world. It could just mean that you're about to go get shit done. It also helps us realize that we should take the advantage of having the ability to quit sometimes, to help with our peace of mind. After consulting screenshots I had taken showing the routes as viewed from the approach and identifying certain features on the mountain, I was able to locate a cairn. We started following these cairns down what was pretty steep terrain, and it was soon clear that we had made it onto the southwest ramp. The ramp had more solid rock than the couloir, as well as good patches of snow. It seemed to be an overall easier and safer route, which I was very happy about. The descent went as smooth as I could have hoped for.
We are starting the descent. We need to figure out where the ramp is. Okay, so this thing here is the gash, and the ramp is this way past the gash. So we're gonna start heading down along this kind of ridge between the ramp and the gash, I guess. Views are good. We have seen some cairns, so we must be going the right way so far. Everything's stable so far. Okay, so you see the handholds over here somewhere, right? Okay, you're gonna want to get one of those. Big rock.
So with your right foot.
Okay, good. With that crack I was telling you about.
Where do I put my feet?
You don't have footholds. That's the issue. Now I can try to carry your feet if you want.
No.
Okay, and then, okay, your left hand is in one of those handholds I told you about.
ice, Dad, so it's still slippery, so hang on to the rope.
Well, okay.
It's still slippery.
Hey, good job.
Oh my.
Okay, you're coming up to the icier part. Not yet, but these ones. Okay, that one's still fine. The next ones I chopped, so try to get into those.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, like I kind of had my one hand, my left hand, like frictioning against that rock.
There's another rope over here.
Yeah, but it's like in the snow. Successfully bypassed all the snow on the left here and straight back into the horrible shit. These boulders have actually been very cooperative, not too loose so far. It was a surprisingly long slog. It is just before 3:30 p.m. and we have finally made it back to our campsite.
We made it back to our camp late. Originally, I had thought we would make it out the second day, but clearly that wasn't happening. We still wanted to make some progress on the egress though. So after packing everything up, we started heading up a pass, which would eventually lead us to the Aero Lakes.
Making it up the snow patch that will take us to the pass we have to go over to get to Aero Lakes. You can start to see over into the next valley. Yeah, that must be Upper Aero Lake. Good views. That must be Upper and Lower Aero Lake. Granite over there.
But before we could make it to the lakes, we were all pretty drained, and we picked a nice spot to camp for the night.
And we are camping right here tonight. Tomorrow we have, God, I don't even know how long it is. It's probably at least 10 miles out. Oh, this is a really nice area. Past 6 a.m. August 1st, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, and we're gonna start our hike out from the Upper Aero Lake. Trying to get around the Upper Aero Lake. Difficult traveling along Upper Aero Lake. Getting some reflective alpenglow on the lake. Here's Kayla. This is the outlet of Upper Aero Lake. Oh, that is chilly water. What? I think there.
No, you go stand there with Troy.
Freaking gigantic spiders. This one dropped down when it saw me. We have a spider fight. Or maybe they're mating or something. Hard to show how big these things are. This is my finger here. Took a break for breakfast and we're ready to get on the move again. Dad is trying to cross Zimmer Creek. Hold on. Okay, Dad successfully crossed Zimmer Creek. We're back at the main trail. Dad and Kayla are going ahead, but I am super beat, so I'm just gonna rest here a bit. Back at Lady of the Lake. Just need to go around this thing. 12:32 p.m. August 1st, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. And we just did Granite Peak in 47 hours and 54 minutes.
The following morning was amazing. Walking around the upper Aero Lake felt surreal. It amazes me how there are so many beautiful areas like this that don't have high foot traffic. The way out was not as straightforward as we would have thought, but it wasn't anything crazy either. I'm really happy we decided to take this different route out, to see more of the range. Despite being sick, I was incredibly happy with this introduction to the Beartooth Mountains, and I definitely want to go back there to have more adventures.
Still on the Beartooth Highway. Insane views. Right.
It was, yeah, it just got messed up. So we picked up a mouse while we were camping. Unknowingly, our cat was trying to catch it.